Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities while others struggle despite working twice as hard? Why certain individuals appear to bend reality around them while most of us feel like passengers in our own lives? The answer isn't what you think it is. It's not luck, it's not privilege, and it's certainly not some mystical gift reserved for the chosen few. What I'm about to reveal will fundamentally alter how you understand your role in creating your reality. Most people live as observers, passively watching life unfold around them, reacting to circumstances, hoping things will eventually improve. But there's another way of existing, a way that transforms you from someone who observes reality into someone who actively creates it. This isn't motivational fluff or wishful thinking. This is quantum coherence in action, and once you understand how to harness it, everything changes. Your thoughts become blueprints, your emotions become fuel. Your attention becomes the most powerful creative force you possess. Here's what most people don't realize. Every moment of your existence, you're broadcasting a signal into the quantum field. This signal isn't random, it's not accidental, it's the direct result of your internal state, your beliefs, your emotions, and most importantly, your level of coherence. When these elements align, when they work together instead of against each other, you become what scientists call a coherent emitter. Think about this for a moment. Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is generating specific electromagnetic frequencies. Your heart is producing an electromagnetic field that's 60 times stronger than your brain's field. This isn't theory. This is measurable science. Your internal state is literally broadcasting information into the space around you, and that information shapes what shows up in your external reality. But here's where it gets fascinating. Most people are broadcasting chaos. Their thoughts pull in one direction while their emotions push in another. Their conscious desires conflict with their unconscious beliefs. They want abundance, but feel unworthy. They crave love, but expect rejection. They visualize success, but emotionally prepare for failure. This internal contradiction creates what physicists call destructive interference. Instead of your various signals amplifying each other, they cancel each other out. The result: mixed results, delayed manifestations, or sometimes no results at all. You end up feeling like you're spinning your wheels, working hard but getting nowhere. The breakthrough happens when you achieve coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs align around a single focal point. When your conscious and subconscious minds stop fighting each other and start working together. When your electromagnetic field becomes coherent, something extraordinary occurs. You stop being a passive observer of reality and become an active creator of it. Let me share something that will shift your perspective entirely. In quantum physics, there's a principle called the observer effect. It demonstrates that the act of observation literally changes what's being observed. Particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until the moment they're observed. Then they collapse into a single definite state. Your consciousness works the same way. Every moment you're observing your life into existence. But most people observe unconsciously. They focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what they're afraid might happen. And the quantum field responds perfectly to that observation, delivering more of what they're focusing on. Master creators understand this principle. They observe intentionally. They direct their attention like a laser beam toward what they want to experience. Not occasionally, not when they remember to do it, but consistently as a way of being. They've learned to become the observer who collapses possibility into their desired reality. This transformation from passive observer to active creator doesn't happen overnight. It requires understanding specific principles and practicing particular techniques. But once you grasp how this works, once you experience the shift from incoherent to coherent, There's no going back. You realize you've been living with the creative power of the universe itself, just not knowing how to use it consciously. The journey begins with recognizing that you're not separate from the field of consciousness that surrounds you. You're not a victim of circumstances or at the mercy of external forces. You are the consciousness through which the universe experiences itself. You are the awareness that collapses infinite possibility into singular reality. Most spiritual teachings hint at this truth, but they often make it sound mystical or unattainable. Quantum science has proven it's simply how consciousness operates. When you understand the mechanics, when you learn to work with these principles instead of against them, you discover capabilities you never knew you had. Consider this. Every innovation, every breakthrough, every masterpiece in human history began as someone's focused observation of possibility. They saw something that others couldn't see, believed in something that others thought impossible, and maintained that vision until reality reorganized itself to match their observation. You have access to this same creative mechanism. The difference between you and those who seem to effortlessly manifest their desires isn't talent or luck. It's coherence. It's the ability to align all aspects of your being around a single focal point and maintain that alignment consistently. But here's what makes this challenging. Your current reality was created by your past observations. The patterns you see in your life are the result of habitual ways of thinking, feeling, and believing. To create something new, you must learn to observe something that doesn't yet exist in your physical experience while simultaneously not being pulled back into observing what already is. This is where most people get stuck. They want to create change, but they keep observing their current circumstances. They focus on what's wrong, what's lacking, what needs to be fixed. Every time they do this, they're voting for more of the same. They're using their creative power to reinforce the very patterns they want to change. The shift happens when you learn to observe from the end result, when you can feel, think, and act as if your desired reality has already occurred, not as a mental exercise or visualization technique, but as a genuine shift in your identity. When you embody the version of yourself who naturally experiences what you desire, you become coherent with that reality. Your nervous system plays a crucial role in this process. It's constantly scanning your environment and comparing it to past experiences, looking for patterns it recognizes. When it finds familiar patterns, it generates familiar responses. This is why change feels so difficult. Your nervous system is designed to keep you in known territory, even when that territory no longer serves you. But your nervous system can also be trained. It can learn to recognize new patterns, to feel comfortable with expansion instead of contraction, to expect positive outcomes instead of bracing for disappointment. This retraining happens through consistent practice, through repeatedly choosing elevated thoughts and emotions until they become natural. The process requires what I call quantum discipline. Not the harsh, forcing kind of discipline, but the gentle, persistent redirection of your attention toward what you want to create. Every time you catch your mind wandering toward old patterns, you simply redirect it. Every time you feel yourself slipping into familiar emotional states that don't serve your vision, you consciously choose something different. This isn't about suppressing negative thoughts or emotions. It's about recognizing that you have a choice in every moment about where to place your attention. Your attention is like a vote. Whatever you give your sustained attention to, you're voting for more of in your life. Most people vote unconsciously, habitually, automatically. They give their attention to whatever is loudest, most urgent, or most familiar. Master creators vote consciously. They understand that their attention is their most precious resource, and they invest it intentionally in the reality they want to create. The beautiful thing about quantum coherence is that it's not limited by your current circumstances. You don't need external conditions to change before you can access this state. You don't need permission from others or validation from the outside world. Coherence is an internal process that creates external results. When you achieve true coherence, when all aspects of your being align around your vision, something shifts in the field around you. Opportunities begin appearing. Synchronicities increase. The right people show up at the right time. Resources flow in unexpected ways. What once seemed impossible starts feeling inevitable. This isn't magic, although it might seem magical. It's simply how consciousness operates when it's coherent instead of scattered. When your signal is clear instead of mixed. When you're broadcasting intentionally instead of accidentally. The transformation from observer to creator is available to everyone. But it requires commitment. It requires the willingness to question everything you think you know about how reality works. It requires the courage to step into a new way of being before you see evidence that it's working. But once you make this shift, once you experience the power of conscious creation, you realize that you've been the author of your life all along. You just weren't aware you were writing the story. Now you can write it intentionally, coherently, powerfully. The question becomes, how do you actually develop this coherence? How do you move from theoretical understanding to practical mastery? Because knowledge without application is just entertainment, and application without consistency is just experimentation. The first principle of quantum coherence is understanding that your identity is not fixed. Most people live as if they're imprisoned by their personality, trapped by their history, limited by their past experiences. They say things like, "That's just who I am," or "I've always been this way," as if these statements are immutable laws of nature. But identity is actually fluid. It's a collection of repeated thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that have become familiar patterns. Every moment you're either reinforcing your current identity or evolving into a new one. The version of you that exists right now is simply the result of what you've repeatedly chosen to think, feel, and do. This means you can consciously select a new identity. You can decide who you want to become and start embodying that person immediately. Not when external conditions align, not when you feel ready, not when others validate your choice, but right now in this moment. Here's where most people stumble. They try to change their external circumstances while maintaining their internal patterns. They want a different life but refuse to become a different person. They expect reality to shift while they remain exactly the same. This approach creates resistance because you're trying to force an outcome that doesn't match your energetic signature. The coherent approach works differently. You begin by embodying the identity of the person who naturally experiences what you desire. You study how this version of yourself thinks, feels, and acts. You notice what they take for granted, what they expect, how they move through the world. Then you start practicing being that person. This practice isn't pretending or acting. It's remembering. It's accessing a version of yourself that already exists in the quantum field of all possibilities. Every potential you can imagine already exists as a probability wave waiting to be collapsed into reality through your observation and embodiment. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual one. When you consistently embody your expanded identity, your nervous system begins creating the neural pathways that support that reality. You're literally rewiring your brain to expect and recognize the experiences that match your new identity. But embodiment goes beyond mental rehearsal. It includes how you breathe, how you carry yourself physically, how you speak, what you choose to focus on throughout your day. The quantum field responds to your entire being, not just your thoughts. Your body language, your energy, your presence all broadcast information about who you believe yourself to be. Watch someone who naturally embodies confidence. Notice how they breathe, how they stand, how they enter a room. Their entire physicality communicates self-assurance. They don't need to announce their confidence because they're broadcasting it through every cell of their being. This is embodied identity in action. Now consider someone trying to fake confidence. You can sense the incongruence immediately. Their words might claim confidence, but their body language betrays uncertainty. Their conscious mind says one thing while their unconscious patterns communicate something entirely different. This mixed signal creates the internal conflict that prevents coherent creation. True coherence eliminates this conflict. When your thoughts, emotions, physicality, and energy all align, you become undeniably authentic. There's no gap between who you're trying to be and who you're actually being. This authenticity creates a powerful electromagnetic signature that the quantum field must respond to. The second principle involves understanding time differently. Linear thinking assumes that cause comes before effect, that you must work toward your goals step by step, that change happens gradually over time. But consciousness operates outside linear time. In the quantum realm, effect can precede cause, the future can influence the present, and transformation can happen instantaneously. This is why some people experience sudden, dramatic shifts in their lives while others see gradual change over years. It's not about worthiness or luck. It's about their relationship with time and possibility. Those who experience quantum leaps understand that their desired reality exists right now in the field of potential. They're not trying to create something new. They're accessing something that already is. When you truly grasp this concept, urgency dissolves. You stop forcing timelines and start trusting the perfect unfolding of your vision. You realize that your job isn't to make things happen, but to become coherent with what wants to happen through you. This doesn't mean passive waiting. It means active alignment. Every moment becomes an opportunity to choose thoughts, emotions, and actions that match your desired reality. You're not working toward your goals. You're living from them. You're not becoming the person who can achieve what you want. You are that person learning to recognize and express it more fully. The third principle recognizes that resistance is not your enemy. Most people try to eliminate doubt, fear, and uncertainty from their experience. They think coherence means feeling positive all the time, never experiencing negative emotions, maintaining perfect faith despite circumstances. This approach actually creates more resistance because you're fighting against natural human responses. Doubt isn't evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's feedback that you're stretching beyond your familiar comfort zone. Fear isn't a sign of weakness. It's confirmation that you're moving towards something meaningful. The key is learning to feel these emotions without being controlled by them. You can acknowledge doubt while still choosing faith. You can experience fear while still taking aligned action. You can notice resistance while still maintaining your vision. This is emotional mastery, and it's essential for sustainable coherence. Resistance often intensifies just before breakthrough because your old identity is making one final attempt to maintain control. It knows that if you succeed in creating this new reality, the version of you that created your current circumstances will essentially die. This ego death feels threatening, so resistance emerges to pull you back into familiar patterns. Understanding this dynamic prevents you from interpreting resistance as evidence that you're on the wrong path. Instead, you recognize it as confirmation that you're approaching a significant transformation. The intensity of the resistance often correlates with the magnitude of the breakthrough waiting on the other side. The fourth principle addresses the role of inspired action. Coherent creation isn't just about internal alignment. It requires translating your vision into physical reality through purposeful action. But not all action is created equal. There's a vast difference between forced action driven by desperation and inspired action flowing from alignment. Forced action feels heavy, stressful, and exhausting. It comes from the belief that you must push against reality to create what you want. You work harder, longer, with more intensity, hoping that effort alone will produce results. This approach often leads to burnout because you're swimming against the current of natural flow. Inspired action feels effortless, energizing, and aligned. It emerges naturally when you're coherent with your vision. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. Conversations unfold that open unexpected doors. Resources appear exactly when you need them. Opportunities present themselves in ways you couldn't have planned or predicted. The difference isn't in the external actions themselves, but in the internal state from which they arise. When you're coherent, action becomes expression rather than effort. You're not trying to force outcomes. You're allowing your vision to express itself through you into physical form. This requires developing sensitivity to the subtle promptings of inspired action. Learning to distinguish between the voice of fear that pushes you to do more and the voice of wisdom that guides you to do what's needed. Practicing trust in the intelligence that orchestrates synchronicities and perfect timing. Most people miss inspired action because they're too busy forcing outcomes or too paralyzed by overthinking to move when guidance comes. Coherent creators develop the ability to recognize these promptings and act on them immediately, before the mind has time to create doubt or delay. The fifth principle understands that coherence is contagious. Your electromagnetic field doesn't stop at your skin. It extends several feet beyond your physical body, interacting with the fields of everyone around you. When you achieve coherence, you literally change the energy of every space you enter. People can feel this shift even when they can't articulate what's different. They're drawn to your presence, inspired by your energy, elevated by your frequency. You become a catalyst for transformation in others simply by embodying your authentic power. This isn't something you do to others, it's something you are that naturally influences the field around you. This principle explains why some people seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, partnerships, and resources. Their coherent field creates resonance with matching frequencies in their environment. Like attracts like, not because of positive thinking, but because of energetic alignment. Understanding this multiplies the impact of your coherence work. You're not just transforming your own life. You're contributing to the elevation of collective consciousness. Every person who achieves coherence makes it easier for others to access that state. Your individual transformation becomes a gift to the entire human family. The journey from observer to creator is ultimately a journey home to your authentic self. Underneath all the conditioning, beyond all the limiting beliefs, beneath every fear and doubt, exists a version of you that knows its power, trusts its wisdom, and creates effortlessly from a place of love and service. This isn't a version you need to become, it's who you've always been, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to stop looking outside yourself for validation and start accessing the infinite creative potential that flows through your very being. The moment you truly grasp this truth, something profound shifts in how you navigate reality. You stop seeking external validation because you've discovered an internal source of knowing that's more reliable than any opinion or expert advice. You stop feeling uncertain about your path because you can sense the rightness or wrongness of choices before you make them. This isn't mystical fantasy. This is how consciousness naturally operates when it's not constrained by conditioning that tells you to doubt your perceptions, second-guess your instincts, and look outside yourself for answers that can only be found within. Indigenous cultures understood this. Ancient wisdom traditions pointed to it. And now, quantum science is proving what mystics have known for millennia. Your rational mind is an excellent tool for analyzing information, but it was never designed to be the primary navigator of your life experience. It doesn't have access to the multidimensional intelligence that can see the interconnections between all possibilities and guide you toward outcomes that serve your highest evolution. That intelligence operates through intuition, through sudden knowing, through the felt sense of rightness that emerges when you're aligned with your true path. Every time you choose to listen to this knowing instead of the voice that says, "But what if?" you collapse 1,000 possibilities down to the one that serves you most. Here's where the transformation accelerates exponentially. Most people treat their desires like they're trying to pull something toward them from a distance. They think they have to work hard enough, wait long enough, prove themselves worthy enough to eventually attract what they want. This approach creates resistance because it's based on the illusion of separation. The quantum understanding is completely different. You and what you want exist in the same field of consciousness. You're not trying to attract it. You're trying to align with it. You're not trying to make it happen. You're trying to allow it to happen through removing the interference patterns that prevent natural flow. When you align with the frequency of what you want, you don't just draw it to you. You discover that you were already connected to it. The separation was an illusion created by focusing on the wrong frequency. It's like suddenly realizing that the song you've been trying to hear has been playing all along. You just needed to tune your radio to the right station. This is why manifestation can happen so quickly sometimes. It's not that the universe suddenly scrambled to create what you wanted. It's that you suddenly aligned with what was already available in the quantum field of possibilities. The speed of manifestation is directly related to the speed of alignment, and alignment can happen in an instant when you truly understand what you're doing. But here's where most people create unnecessary struggle. They think they have to maintain perfect thoughts every moment of every day. They try to force positivity, suppress negative emotions, and control every aspect of their internal experience. This creates internal warfare instead of internal coherence. True coherence isn't about perfection. It's about integration. It's about learning to dance with all aspects of your human experience while maintaining your connection to the creative source within you. You can feel doubt and still choose faith. You can experience fear and still take aligned action. You can notice old patterns arising and still redirect toward new possibilities. The key is developing what I call quantum self-awareness, the ability to observe your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without being consumed by them. To witness the stories your mind creates without believing every narrative it produces. To feel deeply while maintaining perspective on the temporary nature of all emotional states. This observer consciousness is your access point to coherent creation. When you can watch your internal experience with compassionate awareness, you create space between stimulus and response. In that space lies infinite creative potential. In that space, you remember that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your circumstances, but the consciousness that experiences all of these things. From this expanded perspective, you realize that every challenge has been perfectly designed to activate dormant aspects of your creative potential. Every setback has been redirecting you towards something better aligned with your authentic path. Every moment of confusion has been preparing you to recognize clarity when it emerges. Nothing in your experience has been wasted if you can extract the wisdom from it and use it as fuel for your evolution. The struggles that once felt like obstacles become the raw materials from which your mastery is forged. The pain that once seemed meaningless becomes the compost that feeds your greatest flowering. This reframe is crucial because it shifts you from victim consciousness to creator consciousness. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "How is this serving my evolution?" Instead of resisting what is, you start looking for the gift hidden within every experience. But let's get practical about what this looks like in daily life. Coherent creation isn't just about meditation and visualization, though these practices certainly support the process. It's about how you show up in ordinary moments, how you respond to unexpected challenges, how you maintain your vision when external circumstances seem to contradict it. It's about the choice you make when you wake up in the morning. Do you immediately check your phone and let external information determine your internal state? Or do you take a few moments to connect with your vision, to feel into the reality you're creating, to set an intention for how you want to show up in the day ahead? It's about the conversation you have with yourself throughout the day. Are you reinforcing old stories about limitation and lack? Or are you choosing thoughts that align with the expanded version of yourself you're becoming? Are you speaking to yourself like someone you deeply respect and believe in? It's about how you interpret unexpected events. When something doesn't go according to your plan, do you immediately assume something's wrong? Or do you trust that there's an intelligence at work that can see the bigger picture, that might be redirecting you towards something even better than what you originally imagined? These micro choices accumulate into macro transformations. Every moment you choose coherence over chaos, alignment over resistance, trust over fear, you're casting a vote for the reality you want to experience. These votes add up, creating momentum that eventually reaches a tipping point where transformation becomes inevitable. The process requires what quantum physicists call constructive interference. Instead of your various signals canceling each other out, they begin to amplify each other. Your thoughts support your emotions fuel your actions reinforce your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your thoughts. This creates an upward spiral of coherent creation. Most people experience destructive interference instead. Their conscious desires conflict with their unconscious programming. Their morning visualizations are undermined by their evening doubts. Their inspired actions are sabotaged by their fear-based reactions. They're pulling themselves in multiple directions simultaneously, wondering why they can't seem to create consistent results. Breaking this pattern requires honest self-assessment. You need to become aware of the unconscious programs running in the background of your consciousness. These programs were installed during your formative years, when your brain was most impressionable, and they continue operating automatically unless you consciously choose to update them. Most of these programs were designed to keep you safe, but they often end up keeping you small. They were appropriate for the environment in which they were created, but they may no longer serve the reality you're trying to create. The program that protected you from rejection in childhood might now be preventing you from pursuing opportunities that require vulnerability. Updating these programs doesn't require years of therapy or deep psychological excavation. It simply requires consistent practice in choosing new responses when old triggers arise. Every time you catch yourself running an outdated program, you can pause, acknowledge what's happening, and consciously choose a response that aligns with your current vision. This is reprogramming in real time. You're not trying to eliminate the old patterns completely. You're simply installing new ones that better serve your current objectives. Over time, the new patterns become as automatic as the old ones used to be, but they support expansion instead of contraction. The beauty of this approach is that it works with your natural learning mechanisms instead of against them. Your brain is constantly updating its predictions based on new information. When you consistently choose elevated responses, you provide evidence that transformation is possible. This evidence accumulates until your nervous system accepts the new identity as the new normal. But here's what makes the difference between temporary change and permanent transformation. You must embody your new identity even when external circumstances haven't shifted yet. You must maintain coherence even when reality seems to be contradicting your vision. You must choose faith even when logic suggests doubt. This is where most people abandon the process. They expect external validation before they're willing to maintain internal alignment. They want proof before they're willing to believe. They demand guarantees before they're willing to commit. But coherent creation works in reverse. Internal alignment creates external validation. Belief generates proof. Commitment attracts guarantees. The universe responds to your energetic signature, not your words or intentions. When your entire being broadcasts unwavering certainty about your creative power, reality has no choice but to reflect that certainty back to you. When you embody the frequency of already having what you desire, the quantum field must deliver experiences that match that frequency. This isn't wishful thinking or positive affirmations. This is energetic law in action. Just as gravity responds to mass regardless of your beliefs about it, the quantum field responds to coherence regardless of your understanding of the mechanism. You don't need to comprehend every aspect of quantum mechanics to benefit from quantum principles. What you do need is consistency. The field responds to sustained signals, not sporadic bursts of aligned thinking. A few minutes of coherent visualization followed by hours of worry and doubt creates mixed results at best. But sustained coherence, maintained throughout your daily experience, creates undeniable transformation. This is why developing new habits and routines becomes so important. You need structures that support your coherent state. Practices that anchor you in your vision. Reminders that redirect your attention when it starts to drift toward old patterns. Some people benefit from morning rituals that set their energetic tone for the day. Others find that evening practices help them process the day's experiences and maintain alignment. Some need hourly check-ins with themselves to ensure they're staying on track. The specific practices matter less than the consistency with which you apply them. What's crucial is that these practices feel authentic to you, that they genuinely support your coherence rather than becoming another source of pressure or self-judgment. The goal isn't perfection but progress, not flawless execution but faithful practice. As your coherence deepens, you'll notice that maintaining alignment becomes easier and more natural. What once required conscious effort begins happening automatically. Your default responses start shifting from contraction to expansion, from fear to curiosity, from resistance to allowance. This is when the magic really begins to unfold. When coherence becomes your natural state, when creating becomes as effortless as breathing, when you stop trying to manifest your desires and start expressing your authentic nature. You realize that you weren't trying to get something from the universe. You were learning to give something to it, your unique expression, your creative contribution, your gift to the collective evolution of consciousness. This shift from getting to giving represents the ultimate transformation from observer to creator. When you understand that your role isn't to extract value from reality but to add value to it, everything changes. Your relationship with the universe becomes collaborative instead of transactional. You stop asking what you can receive and start exploring what you can contribute. Most people approach manifestation like they're placing an order at a cosmic restaurant. They make their requests, wait for delivery, and get frustrated when their desires don't arrive on schedule. But the universe doesn't work like a vending machine where you insert the right combination of thoughts and emotions to get predetermined outcomes. Instead, it operates more like an infinite creative intelligence that's constantly seeking new ways to express itself through conscious beings. When you align with this intelligence, when you become a clear channel for its expression, you discover that your individual desires were just the beginning of what wants to emerge through you. This is where coherent creation becomes truly extraordinary. You're no longer limited to manifesting the specific things your personality mind can imagine. You gain access to possibilities that exist beyond your current awareness, solutions you never could have conceived, opportunities that surpass even your highest expectations. But accessing this expanded creative potential requires releasing attachment to how your vision must unfold. Most people grip their desires so tightly that they actually prevent them from manifesting in their fullest expression. They insist on specific timelines, particular forms, predetermined pathways. This attachment creates resistance in the field because it limits the universe's ability to deliver something even better than what was originally requested. True surrender isn't giving up on your vision. It's giving up your attachment to the specific way that vision must appear. When you hold your desires lightly with appreciation rather than desperation, you create space for the universe to surprise you with manifestations that exceed your wildest imagination. This doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent about outcomes. It means maintaining passionate commitment to your vision while remaining flexible about the form it takes. You care deeply about the essence of what you want to create while staying open to unexpected ways it might emerge. Consider how nature demonstrates this principle. An acorn doesn't dictate the exact shape every branch must take or control the precise timing of each season's growth. It simply maintains its essential programming to become an oak tree while allowing environmental factors to influence the specific expression of that potential. The result is a unique tree that could never be replicated exactly, yet perfectly fulfills its fundamental nature. Your vision works similarly. It contains essential qualities, core feelings, fundamental purposes that want to be expressed. But the specific forms through which these essences manifest can vary infinitely based on timing, circumstances, and opportunities you haven't yet encountered. When you release your grip on the how and focus on the why, you align with the creative intelligence that orchestrates synchronicities, arranges perfect timing, and coordinates the countless variables required to bring complex visions into reality. This intelligence has access to information and resources far beyond what your individual consciousness can perceive. But here's what most people struggle with during this process. The gap between internal alignment and external manifestation can feel uncomfortable, sometimes even distressing. You've done the inner work, achieved coherence, embodied your expanded identity, yet your physical circumstances haven't shifted to match your internal reality. This gap isn't evidence that the process isn't working. It's a necessary phase of quantum creation. Think of it like pregnancy. Once conception occurs, there's an invisible gestation period where tremendous development happens before anything becomes visible. Trying to force premature birth would be disastrous. The timing must be perfect for healthy emergence. Your manifestations go through a similar gestation process in the quantum field. They begin as pure potential, then gradually gain density and substance until they finally materialize in physical form. This process happens at the perfect pace for sustainable integration into your life experience. During this gestation phase, your job isn't to push for faster results. It's to maintain the internal conditions that support healthy development of your vision. Just as a pregnant mother nourishes herself to support the growing baby, you nourish your coherence to support the growing manifestation. This requires extraordinary trust, especially when external circumstances seem to be moving in the opposite direction of your desires. Your old reality might appear to be intensifying before it dissolves. Challenges might emerge that test your commitment to your new identity. Opportunities might disappear that you thought were leading toward your goal. These experiences aren't signs that you're doing something wrong. They're often indications that profound reorganization is happening beneath the surface. Your life is restructuring itself to accommodate the new reality you're creating. Old patterns must dissolve before new ones can fully establish themselves. The key is maintaining your coherence throughout this transition period. When external evidence contradicts your internal vision, you have a choice. You can allow the appearances to pull you back into old patterns of doubt and limitation, or you can use them as opportunities to deepen your faith in the unseen process. Every time you choose to maintain your vision despite contrary evidence, you strengthen your coherence. Every moment you respond from your expanded identity rather than your contracted history, you accelerate the manifestation process. Every decision you make from trust rather than fear casts a vote for the timeline you want to experience. This is where quantum discipline becomes essential. Not the harsh discipline of forcing outcomes, but the gentle discipline of consistently redirecting your attention toward what you want to create. Like training a puppy to walk on a leash, you patiently guide your consciousness back to alignment whenever it wanders toward old patterns. Your mind will generate countless reasons why your vision won't work, why you should give up, why you should settle for less than what you truly desire. These thoughts aren't personal attacks on your character. They're simply the automatic functioning of a nervous system that's been programmed to keep you in familiar territory. Understanding this removes the emotional charge from resistant thoughts. Instead of fighting them or feeling guilty about having them, you can observe them with curiosity and compassion. You can thank your mind for trying to keep you safe while still choosing thoughts that support your vision. This observer consciousness is your greatest ally in maintaining coherence. When you can witness your internal experience without being consumed by it, you create the space needed for conscious choice. In that space between stimulus and response, you access infinite creative potential. From this expanded awareness, you begin to recognize that every experience is serving your evolution in some way. The challenges aren't obstacles to your success. They're opportunities to develop the qualities you'll need to handle the success you're creating. The delays aren't punishment for past mistakes. They're perfect timing that ensures all elements are properly aligned for optimal outcomes. This perspective transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, you begin to see it as the space where all possibilities exist. Instead of needing to control every variable, you learn to dance with the mystery of creation. Instead of demanding guarantees before you begin, you find security in your ability to respond creatively to whatever emerges. As this trust deepens, you discover something remarkable. The universe has been supporting you all along, even when it didn't look that way. Every apparent setback was redirecting you towards something better. Every closed door was protecting you from settling for less than you deserve. Every moment of confusion was preparing you to recognize clarity when it arrived. This recognition doesn't minimize the real pain you may have experienced during difficult periods. It doesn't suggest that suffering is somehow good or necessary. But it does reveal that even the most challenging experiences can become raw material for unprecedented growth and wisdom. when you can extract the gifts from your difficulties without remaining trapped in victim consciousness. You transform every experience into fuel for your evolution. Your scars become sources of strength. Your failures become foundations for future success. Your pain becomes the compost from which your greatest contributions grow. You've traveled far from where you started watching this video. What began as curiosity has transformed into recognition. What felt like learning has revealed itself as remembering. The observer you were when you clicked play no longer exists. In their place stands a creator awakening to their infinite potential. This isn't the end of your journey into quantum coherence. It's your commencement into a reality where your consciousness shapes matter, where your attention collapses possibility into experience, where your alignment determines your outcomes. You now possess the keys to unlock capabilities that most people never discover exist. But knowledge without application remains theoretical. Understanding without embodiment stays intellectual. The principles we've explored together only become transformational when you live them, breathe them, make them the foundation of your daily experience. Your next choice, your next thought, your next moment of conscious creation begins now. The universe is waiting for your unique contribution, for the reality only you can bring into existence, for the frequency only you can broadcast. You are no longer an observer hoping for change. You are a creator capable of bending reality around your vision. The quantum field responds to your signal. Make it coherent.